Playing Fallout 76 is like driving a car that's constantly about to run out of gas. Like the whole thing is gonna break if I take a wrong step. There are so many glitches and bugs in the game that I started to drift off and think about all the other games I could have spent my money on. Even though Bethesda games are often rife with glitches, Fallout 76 pushes the boundaries of what gamers are willing to put up with. Fallout 76 opens in Vault 76, whose citizens have left to rebuild society on a day referred to as Reclamation Day. Upon leaving the vault, players are introduced to the world of Appalachia, a post-war West Virginia. Following a brief tutorial, players are left on their own to survive. And that's where the story in Fallout 76 ends. While context can be discovered, there is no driving force behind any of the player's actions. There is no why to any of the events, and the main list of quests can be boiled down to go to the place, shoot the thing, rinse, and repeat. Despite frequent run-ins with a varied range of enemies, the world of Appalachia is missing the cynical sense of humor that comes from interacting with NPCs, so players are left with the darker sides of Fallout: burned buildings, skeletons, and depressing notes left by survivors. While the game tries to portray the Scorched as this powerful force that needs to be wiped out, they only come off as an annoying replacement for the Raiders. The stakes of the main questline are never established, and as a result, players aren't given any reason to care about it. In lieu of characters, holotapes are where the story plays out. Though this is a fresh take for a Fallout narrative, it felt like I was just playing BioShock Fallout Edition. And in a game where the pacing is decided by the player, this isn't as effective of a narrative choice. In addition, the inclusion of other players just takes away from the individual's experience. None of the story beats feel truly earned or special, because there are 2 or 3 other players all completing the same mission at the same time, reducing any kind of impact on the world that the game's quests might have had. One of the pillars of Fallout is morality in a post-apocalyptic setting, and there isn't any of that in 76. Quests don't have options or special paths to completion. The instruction is the only way to finish the quest. So rather than question a player's moral fiber, the game is just a series of mindless fetch quests until players can finally launch a nuke and be done with it. Gameplay in Fallout 76 is simply unpolished, and that's disappointing since Fallout 4 has some of the best combat in the entire series. In this entry, however, ranged weapons degrade quickly, forcing an emphasis on the game's clunky melee weapons. It's often difficult to tell what the maximum reach of a melee weapon is until the enemy is too close. Because of this awkward sense of distance, I would end up mindlessly swinging at a pack of feral ghouls as they slowly chipped away at my health. Even at level 15 and above, low-level enemies like mole rats and protectrons gave me trouble because of this shoddy combat. What makes this even worse is the sluggish sense of progression. Leveling up in Fallout 76 takes a long time, and by the time I reach the required level for a particular piece of armor or a weapon, I'm usually able to craft one that's on par or even better. There are also confusing point values attached to the game's enemies. I fought 3 of the same kind of enemy within a few minutes of each other, and each one had a different point value. It's little details like this that make Fallout 76 just feel unfinished. The game's perk system has been changed yet again into a card system. Rather than have a bunch of perks active at once, players assign a limited number of perks and abilities underneath the different sections of the special system. While this is a cleaner system, it's difficult to tell just how much of a difference a card makes unless multiple copies of it are stacked together. Even then, fighting enemies, hacking computers, and picking locks are either needlessly challenging or mind-numbingly easy. One area where the game succeeds, however, is with its new enemies. Scorch Beasts are an intimidating threat that strike immediate fear when they arrive, and weirder enemies like the Grafton monster provide a welcome challenge. These new additions breathe life into Appalachia, and they give Fallout 76 a stronger identity compared to previous games. Events are a surprisingly good fit for the Fallout series. Though it's irritating to be roped into something when you're trying to complete a quest, having these timed events make an otherwise dead world feel alive. But even these bright spots are overshadowed by the game's numerous technical issues. Anytime a large group of enemies would appear on screen, the the frame rate would drop drastically, essentially making the game unplayable during combat. Finding plans and recipes for crafting in the world is difficult, essentially forcing players to waste caps on them at trading posts. The game executes these interesting ideas so poorly, it feels as though the official release of the game is more like a beta test than an actual complete game. Appalachia is a beautiful mix of trees, color, and rubble. This is easily the most colorful Fallout game, and the sweeping visuals are breathtaking, if they ever pop in. More often than not, however, moving from inside a building to the outside takes an annoyingly long time to render, and as a result, the whole game feels either crisp and elegantly detailed, or murky and fuzzy. In a game that puts emphasis on its setting, this is embarrassing. There are a diverse number of locations, which is a major improvement from Fallout 4, which lacked inspiration in its visuals. Fallout 76 has fun with its location, and the stories that come along with it. Unfortunately, it takes an absurdly long time to get anywhere because of the oversized map. There are too many long stretches of nothing to make the barren areas worth exploring beyond the occasional enemy or burned out house. West Virginia wouldn't have been my first choice for a Fallout setting, but Appalachia has potential to be a beautiful and terrifying place to explore. But the rendering issues combined with the long stretches of nothing only make me want to get through this game as quickly and painlessly as possible. Fallout 76 is proof that a game needs more than just a cool idea to succeed. From the rendering issues to the clunky combat and complete lack of narrative attachment, this game is a bunch of rough drafts all crudely thrown together and rushed out to meet a release window. Until some major changes are made, I'd suggest staying far away from Fallout 76.